Study finds your posture matters when taking medicine. Pig organs partially revived 1 hour after death. Israel will pump water from the Mediterranean as a solution for drought. India fires 3 officers for accidentally launching missile into Pakistan. COVID incubation gets shorter with each new variant. New Zealand seeks greater supermarket competition to curb inflation. Japan to consider building next-gen nuclear plants. First Lady is Ukraine's secret weapon in Vogue diplomacy.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It's Thursday, August 25th, and here are your top stories. Researchers found that when a person is lying on their right side, a pill taken can dissolve 2.3 times faster than if the person was upright. When a person lies on their right side, pills can move to the deepest part of their stomach. So if you need to take a pill, you should take it lying down on your right side. Professor Rajat Mittal at Johns Hopkins Whiting School of Engineering said, "We were very surprised that posture has such an immense effect on the dissolution rate of a pill."
The expert in fluid dynamics said he would definitely think about his posture every time he takes a pill. He and his team found a pill that dissolves in 10 minutes with a patient laying on their right side could take 23 to dissolve in an upright or laying straight back posture, and more than 100 minutes with the person on their left side. The researcher said, for elderly, sedentary, or bedridden people, whether they're turning to the left or to the right can have a huge impact.
Researchers have restored circulation and circular activity in the vital organs of pigs, such as the heart and brain, 1 hour after the animals died. The research challenges the idea that cardiac death, which occurs when blood circulation and oxygenation stops, is irreversible and raises ethical questions about the definitions of death. Despite the integrity of some brain tissue being preserved, researchers did not observe any coordinated brain activity that would indicate the animals had regained any consciousness or sentience.
The biggest impediment for the transplant is organ preservation.
Yale neuroscientist Nanad Sistan and members of his team connected pigs that had been dead for 1 hour to a system called OrganX that pumped a blood substitute through the animals' bodies. The solution, containing the animal's blood and 13 compounds such as anticoagulants, slowed the decomposition of the bodies and quickly recovered some organ function, such as heart contraction and activity in the liver and kidneys. Sistan said, "If you can regain some function in a dead pig's brain, you can do it in other organs too."
The Sea of Galilee, called the Kinneret in Hebrew in northern Israel, is actually a freshwater lake and is one that has sustained life for millennia. However, the climate crisis is causing huge fluctuations in the lake's water levels. It has now hit a record low, and decision makers have decided to pump water in as a solution. The Israeli government plans to take water from the Mediterranean, remove the salt, and send it across the country to top up the lake when needed.
Israel has plenty of expertise in desalination. As a water-insecure nation, it has been taking seawater from the Mediterranean for more than 2 decades and treating it through a process called reverse osmosis, essentially taking the salt out of the water to make it drinkable. 5 desalination plants along the coast now provide nearly all the tap water for the country's 9.2 million people. The new project will take the desalinized water and pump it through the Talisman stream that feeds the lake.
CNN reported that on Tuesday, August 23rd, the Indian Air Force said the government had sacked 3 officers for accidentally firing a missile into Pakistan in March, an incident that the 2 nuclear-armed rivals handled calmly as there were no casualties. Military experts have in the past warned of the risk of accidents or miscalculations by the neighbors, which have fought 3 wars and engaged in numerous smaller armed clashes, usually over the disputed territory of Kashmir.
The media reported that on March 9th, a nuclear-capable land attack cruise missile, the BrahMos missile, jointly developed by Russia and India, was fired by the Indian Air Force, prompting Pakistan to seek answers from New Delhi on the safety mechanisms in place to prevent accidental launches. According to the US-based Arms Control Association, the BrahMos missiles' range is between 300 kilometers and 500 kilometers, making it capable of hitting Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, from a northern Indian launch pad.
Scientists from Beijing University and Tsinghua University found the incubation period of different strains of SARS-CoV-2 fell from an average of 5 days with an alpha infection to 3.42 days with Omicron. Since COVID can replicate inside a person before causing symptoms, variants with longer incubation are harder to stop because of the greater potential for the infected to unknowingly spread the disease. The interval between the exposure and the development of symptoms appears to be narrowing, which is good news.
All of this as new infections have surged 80% in the past 2 weeks to well over 200,000 a day due to the highly contagious Omicron variant.
The researchers said identifying the incubation period of different variants is a key factor in determining the isolation period. The researchers also noted the variable incubation periods across different age groups and severity of disease. According to the study published on Monday, August 22nd, in the journal JAMA Network Open, researchers analyzed data from more than 140 studies to estimate the incubation period of COVID caused by different strains of SARS-CoV-2.
On Wednesday, New Zealand's Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister David Clark made a statement from Wellington saying that the two big supermarket chains in New Zealand will be required to sell products to their competitors at fair wholesale prices. If they fail to do so, they will be forced to offer certain products at prices determined by a regulator. The media said that New Zealand's government is stepping up efforts to increase supermarket competition to drive down grocery prices that are among the highest in the world.
David Clark asked the Commerce Commission to look into whether grocery sector competition is working well for consumers. Its answer, a resounding no.
Earlier this year, a report by fair trade watchdog, the Commerce Commission, said that it was very difficult for other players to enter the market and provide the competition necessary to drive down prices. New Zealand's high grocery prices reflect the fact that two companies, Foodstuffs New Zealand and the local unit of Australia's Woolworths, form a dominant duopoly. The Commission found that the two big players earned $620,000 a day in excess profits because of a lack of competition.
Japan will consider building next-generation nuclear power plants in a policy reversal that will embrace atomic energy to curb emissions and ensure future electricity supply. According to Nikkei, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida will formally announce the move on Wednesday at a government meeting. At the same time, Japan's economy ministry wants to restart 7 more nuclear reactors as soon as next summer. There are currently a total of 33 nuclear reactors in Japan. Kishida's directive would bring 17 reactors back online that were shut down after the 2011 Fukushima catastrophe.
A panel of experts at the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry has come up with a plan to build a next-generation nuclear power plant.
The media said that this is a dramatic shift back to nuclear power. Japan essentially barred construction of new nuclear power plants in the wake of the 2011 Fukushima disaster. But after Russia's war in Ukraine upended fossil fuel markets and sent power bills surging, public sentiment in Japan has been shifting in favor of turning idle plants back online. The media reported Kishida will instruct officials to consider extending the lifespan of existing reactors beyond the current maximum of 60 years.
Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska has recently embarked on a high-profile U.S. visit before hosting an international summit in Kyiv. While these initiatives have generated considerable publicity, Zelenska's most eye-catching appearance has been in a photo shoot for Vogue magazine. Zelenska's Vogue portraits were taken by legendary photographer Annie Leibovitz, with the First Lady captured alone and together with her husband, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Who was the photographer who took these photos. Some of them were really controversial, as his wife was standing in front of, I think it was a plight. Like there's
Ukraine Magazine's chief editor of business, Peter Dickinson, said, Ukrainians are well aware that any ceasefire at this point would allow the Kremlin to consolidate its grip over regions that have been occupied since February 2022, while also paving the way for the next stage of Russia's campaign to extinguish Ukrainian statehood. According to Dickinson, keeping the invasion in the news is important because it underlines the maximalist nature of Russia's war aims. Therefore, Zelensky's Vogue appearance succeeded on both counts.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.